It's the Doscinco Project.
Money pouring in, clientele growing down.
With your host, Doscinco.
Let's go!
What's up, everybody? You are now tuned into the Doscinco Project, where we talk about business, entertainment, motivation, and mindset. I have a very special guest with me today. He is the co-founder and chief creative officer of Rec Philly. REC, Resources for Every Creator. It's a creative space and agency dedicated to empowering creative people to do what they do and do what they love. He's led the organization from humble beginnings in a North Philadelphia warehouse to bringing it to a seven-figure multi-city company. To date, Rec has paid out $1.5 million to creatives in the Philadelphia region. My man's been named Forbes 30 under 30 in 2021. He is also the founding member of the Big Cleanup, a grassroots organization where artists, activists, and creatives all galvanize their social media in order to bring the community together to clean up the neighborhoods and bring or restore the spirits of people. Everyone, please welcome Will Toms.
Yo.
What's up, Will?
Yo, it's a pleasure to be here, brother. It's a pleasure.
Listen, man, first and foremost, Forbes 30 under 30.
Yes,
Please
sir.
explain that.
Yeah,
Please
man.
explain.
I mean, look, that was one of those bucket list items, that I got to check off the list. When I first founded my business, I started my first company at 21.
Okay.
Myself and my business partner, Dave. And even before then, you know what I mean? Being able to be recognized as 30 under 30 was like a big thing. Because it's like, as an artist, if you make music, a lot of artists, it's like they want to win a Grammy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like if
Absolutely.
you're an actor, you want to win an Oscar. So I think like the closest thing to that is to get recognized in Forbes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
And Forbes is a big deal.
it's a
Big
very
deal.
big deal.
Man, okay, so Forbes 30 under 30.
Yep.
But you had humble beginnings.
Absolutely.
Where did you come from?
Man, so my family's from Uptown, from
Okay.
Germantown,
Okay.
Wayne Junction, right off Wayne Ave. So to start at that place, right? To start, coming from my background, I'm a kid who grew up raised by his grandmother. Just because my parents, unfortunately, they were young when they had me. They got caught up in the trappings of what it means to live in the inner city.
Right.
You know what I mean? So my pops is 25 years in the state penitentiary so far. I had a mother who had a really challenging, come up as well. So to be able to be a kid raised by your grandmother, you know what I'm saying, moving around a bunch, trying to figure that life out, and then ultimately be able to figure it out enough to build a multi-million-dollar business and be honored for not only the Forbes piece, but I was specifically honored 30 under 30 for the social impact category.
Wow.
So it's like they recognize the innovation in the business model and that it's a good thing for the world. You know what I mean? So that just meant a lot to me. So I woke up and my business partner sent me the link and I saw our names and I was just like, whoa.
That's amazing. So what's crazy, is that we are stigmatized because if you are, say, either a single parent household or you don't have your mother or your father in your life, you're pretty much doomed, so to speak, right?
9 times more likely to go to prison if
Absolutely.
you don't have a father in the home.
It's either you're dead or you're in jail. You were raised by a grandmother.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And then you turn this over into a success, building multi-million-dollar companies.
Yep.
What was the mindset?
Yeah, I think, I didn't come from much financially, but I do believe that my grandmother was able to just create a household full of love, and I think like when I think about what I do now and what we've built here at Rec, and, I'm sure we'll talk more about it,
Right.
But really like more than anything, my grandmother showed me what it looked like for someone to work incredibly hard to create a space for me to have possibility, to create a space for me to have, the resources I needed, to create a space to help me value education. So when I think about like what Rec is, it really is me almost just paying forward what she gave to me.
Wow.
So honestly, if I didn't come from the background that I came from, I don't think community would have been as important to me, right? Because it wouldn't have been as big of a need.
Right.
I don't think I would have really challenged myself to tap into my artistry personally, right? If I didn't have those challenging situations that helped me process who I was through poetry, through visual art, etc.
Yep.
So it's one of those alchemy kind of things where I turned a challenging experience, I turned what some people could look at as a negative, and for real, I believe I was able to turn that into a positive, understanding what I needed, and I realized, there's millions of kids out here just like me who need these exact same things.
That's awesome. First and foremost, did you ever work a 9 to 5?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah. So after college, I didn't graduate college. I got to the very end of my college journey last semester and ended up having some run-ins and needed to step away from that. I think I started my entrepreneurial journey a little bit too soon, if you know what I'm saying.
Right.
But I got to a place where I get back to the city and I started throwing parties, right? Started throwing shows, started throwing open mics and things like that with my business partner, Dave. And while doing that, I got recruited to work full-time at a marketing agency. So my really only 9-to-5 job ever was I worked a few years at a company called Fame House.
Okay.
Started by a couple guys from Drexel.
Yep.
They specifically did digital strategy and digital marketing and e-commerce for entertainment brands.
Gotcha.
So I'm a kid, no college degree at this time. I studied communications. I studied economics, running around promoting events and things like that, creating content. And they saw what we were doing, selling out these different shows around the city. And they were like, clearly you know something about marketing. So they recruited me. I didn't apply. They literally recruited me to then come into a stable of clients. Before I knew it, I was representing Eminem, Shady Records, Ice Cube.
Wow.
And I got trained on what it looked like to run really high-level marketing campaigns.
Okay.
And the biggest thing I learned there was direct to consumer. I learned what it looked like to say, yo, really, like I was, some of these brands on the internet.
Right.
So without needing, Marshall Mathers or O'Shea Jackson, that's Ice Cube, without needing their time, I could just use their brands, right, and how people thought of them to create campaigns online to help them make more money.
Wow.
And I got to a place where I was like, this is nuts.
Right.
And if I can do this and make millionaires more millions, I could probably teach these same things to my homies and they can go from 0 to 60K this year.
Wow.
And that's when I took the leap.
Wow.
And,
So
built Rec.
Unintentionally, you didn't know you were diving into marketing very early on, even just by promoting these parties, right?
Yeah,
Did you know?
I didn't think about it like that, right?
Okay.
Because I am a communications major, right?
Right.
So I was all about communications theory and all those stuff. Video production was important to me, but I never thought of myself as a marketer.
Okay.
But then as I got recruited into Fame House and then I started realizing that the things that just came natural to me to be able to fill a room were actually like real theories that had names, real strategies that had names, right?
That's amazing.
And they gave me a language to some of these things that were just innate and obviously stacked a whole bunch of new concepts on top of that.
Okay.
And it really brought out what I think is one of my best skill sets.
Wow. I mean, even if you look at like the Nipsey Hussles of the world and so forth, how their brand continues on even after they, stop living on this planet, so to speak. So it's kind of like you were just running these celebrity campaigns and continuing to grow that.
Yeah.
And then so instead of just saying, you know what, I'm going to leave the neighborhood, I've made it, I'm high society now, or like they like to say high sedity, right?
Thanks.
I'm back in the neighborhood. I'm going to teach my homies. I'm going to teach and try to build a community and and just give them the game.
Yeah, that was it. It was really from a place of like, I was learning a lot at Fame House and I was doing my thing, but my passion for Rec was just so real and it was growing every day. You know what I mean? I will say I'm not that guy who is telling everybody quit your job and do your own thing.
Right.
I used to be that guy.
Right.
But I realized that that's really not responsible advice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But for me, I had this burning desire, every day at work, even though, again, I had a great job. But I would get there and at lunch, I'm on Rec socials, right? Trying to get some tweets off, post on Instagram. I'm thinking of new ideas. And at that time, my life was I would work 8 to 5 at Fame House. Okay. And then literally I would go from 6 to about 1 a.m. working on Rec.
Wow.
Every day.
Okay.
And at that time, we were throwing 5 events a week. So it was work, and then as soon as I clock out, go to the venue, we throw in a party or whatever it is. And I just believed that once I understood that whole direct-to-consumer marketing piece, and once I really realized, I had the epiphany around how much space was important, consistent space to go to have resources, it was almost like the responsibility was too big for me to just stay living, personally making my money and, climbing up the ranks. It was no, I have, I think God gave me this vision for this business. And it was almost like I knew that this is what the world needed at the time. And I also felt that we were early. Okay. Right. Back in 2014, 2015, this is before we're talking about the creator economy.
People weren't talking about that direct to consumer.
They were not.
Right. The only person that was really talking about that, at least the person that I knew, was Dame Dash at the time.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Now everybody's jumping into
Master P, Dame Dash. These are the guys. Right. And this is even going back to much earlier than, 2015. but it hadn't become like widely respected.
Right.
The independent artist still wasn't something that artists like thought was dope.
Okay.
It was like, you know, there's artists like Pharaoh Monch, right, who like a lot of artists probably don't even know about. There's artists like, you know, a Tech Nine who's like making millions independent. But people weren't trying to be Tech Nine.
Right.
People wanted to be insert label artists here.
Yep.
I think Chance the Rapper, for real, was probably one of the first people who kind of brought mainstream to the brought independence to the mainstream and was like, nah, you can make money, right? Chance the Rapper made, I think, $6 million off the 3 Hat, right?
Wow.
So he was the one who started to like make it cool.
Okay.
But before then, we were like, no, I see where the future is going,
right,
and we want to build the infrastructure for those folks.
That's amazing. Yeah. How do you keep your discipline? Discipline as an entrepreneur. Well, first and foremost, let's back that up, right? So you're at lunch, you're doing your rec social,
yeah,
right? You're passionate because we've all been there. A lot of people are currently in these predicaments where you're working your 9 to 5, right?
Yeah.
But you're thinking about something else constantly.
Yep.
You know, there's the gentleman, Dave Portnoy, right?
Yeah.
Barstool Sports,
yeah,
right? He said that he was working a sales job, but all he was doing was working Barstool while on the job.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's kind of a sign for people to like, listen, try to grow whatever that passion is?
Yeah.
If that's all you're thinking about constantly.
Yeah. If the again, I use the word burning desire, right? Like,
right.
And I read a book called Think and Grow Rich early on, and that
Napoleon Hill.
Yes, sir. And that was one of the most foundational books that really put me on the path to like entrepreneurship and even just thinking you could build something bigger than you, right?
Right.
And they describe it as that burning desire. It's not enough to be like, oh, I think this is kind of cool. If that's how you feel about something, you don't need to risk quitting a stable job.
But if you're thinking about it all the time and you're dreaming about it and you wake up and that's all that's on your mind.
There's a reason why.
There's a reason why.
And I think that's when you need to listen to that and you should follow it. The discipline for me, honestly, I think it comes back to that word I used earlier, which is a responsibility.
Okay.
You know, I really believe that I'm the very best person in the world to build the business that I'm building. You know, I think all of my life experiences have led me up to understand community and to understand marketing and to understand just the creator economy and to just understand resource sharing and to understand all the parts so well that I feel like, you know, I'm the best person to do it. And because of that, I have a responsibility, right? I don't think God would give me this vision if I couldn't carry it out.
Of course.
Right? Because I don't think that, like, before building Rec, I don't think I would have characterized myself as, like, the responsible one.
Right.
You know? But now that I know that I have, 20 plus employees who depend on us to be able to make sure that they can cash those checks on time, right?
Yep.
Like there's a real responsibility in that. And I think that really just comes from the gratitude that I have for my position. Again, man, I come from humble beginnings. Like I don't know nobody in my family that built $1 million business. I don't really have anyone in my family that built a business. Outside of my grandmom and my aunt selling platters.
Right.
You feel me?
They've all been there.
Right.
Yep.
So I saw the entrepreneurial bug, but like the fact that, I'm talking to my pops through the phone 15 minutes at a time, and I have the opportunity to really wake up and do something I love and to be impactful to people and add to people's lives. The gratitude is what keeps me on my grind.
Describe what that's like, right? So your father's been locked up for what, 25 years so
25th
far?
year in.
25th year in, right? And you're having these 15-minute conversations with him on the phone. Is that, with being grateful, is it in your mind like, he doesn't have that chance, but I do. So I'm going to use my chance outside those walls to make something happen.
100%, man. And it's not even just him, right? It's him. But then I even have, if I'm being completely a buck with you, it's like I have brothers and sisters who didn't even have the same opportunities that I did.
Gotcha.
Right? So it's like when I see that, I'm like, I'll be damned if I spoil this opportunity. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So so I'm really grateful for all of those experiences because, again, like, my dad has been in for 25 years, and if you were to speak to him on the phone, his energy, the bubbliness, like the joy that comes through when he speaks to me, I know that what I'm doing on the outside is affecting how he carries it inside.
He's living through you,
right?
Yep.
And I appreciate that, and I'm grateful, that he gets to do that. So yeah, those are some of the things where it's just like, the gratitude is just too big for me to not take it seriously.
That's amazing. Do you have any mentors?
Yeah, I have, I think, 2 types of mentors, right?
Okay.
There's the types of mentors that I had most of my life, which are the people on YouTube and on TV who don't know that they're my mentor,
right?
Right?
Of
Like
course.
People like Puff and, Russell Simmons and all those guys.
Yep.
it took me to turn about 25, 26 before I realized the power of actually having a mentor in real life. So now I have a stable of mentors who I go to each of them for very specific things.
Makes sense.
Right. So like I have one mentor who's in the creator economy. You know, I'd say someone like a Ryan Leslie has really kind of, you know, helped me understand the space in a certain way. You know, people like Mark Byers, who's a Philly guy, you know, back, you know, Music Soul Child and you know, that era, right, of Philly music. But then I also have, you know, mentors when it comes to like, let me make sure I keep my spirit in check. You know what I'm saying? I got mentors on the wellness tip, you know? So like for me, I think it's important to have mentors for very specific things.
Makes
so
sense.
That's what I have.
Describe a tip, and I know your day's not very typical, but describe a day in the life of Will Thomas.
I mean, what I love most is every day can be different. You
Okay.
know what I mean? So no day is like typical, but I live through my calendar. So I'll literally just open up my calendar.
Perfect.
Right? So literally today, I started my day today. First meeting was at 9:45 this morning.
Okay.
You know, so.
Before that, what's your morning routine?
Yeah.
You woke up. What time?
What time? So my first alarm is gonna go off at 6:30.
Okay.
But then I'm probably not gonna get.
I like that you said first alarm. I think we all have like triple alarms or even quadruple
like,
sometimes.
And if I'm being honest, I enjoy that slow wake up. Like I
course.
think my best days is like the first alarm goes off at 6:30, but after that I wake up, but I might stay in bed. I'm praying, meditating, you know what I'm saying? Like just spending, you know, quality time with my partner, all that.
Right.
So then I might not get out of the door until, you know, closer to 8:30 or 9.
Okay.
Right. If I'm really on it that day, I got to run in or something like that, something active.
Right.
But to me, it's important to have that like peaceful time in the morning because I know as soon as I step out the door,
It's on.
it's on.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's on and probably until like 10 p.m.
Gotcha.
Right. So I always try to like, you know, covet that time. So then my first meeting, you know, on a day like today, 9:45,
Yep.
hour and a half meeting with my executive team.
Okay.
So we go in and what we're talking about is exclusively the most important issues in the business. We're talking about the numbers. We're talking about what are the challenges that we have to problem solve for, what's going on, you know, customer headlines, you know, we're talking employee headlines, all the things that are just decisions, right?
Right.
So we knocked that out. And then later in the day, I got, you know, a couple of calls from people that maybe I met at a conference lately, right?
Okay.
I was at Black Entrepreneur Summit. So I'm taking intro calls with people who are like, yo, love what you were talking about. Let's build.
Yep.
So I'm going to do a couple of those. Today, I got to do lunch with my grandmother. My grandmother was in the city.
Wow.
So I took an hour out of my day and I was like, nah, we're doing lunch.
Absolutely.
But then after that, like, it's meetings. Like, right now I'm working on expansion plan stuff. I'm working on marketing plans. So it's all that stuff. Designing the space for Miami. So I'm working in architecture mode. And now we're here doing a podcast. And then after this, I'm going to leave. I got a couple personal things I got to get done, you know, in the weeds. Promote the big cleanup that happens on Sunday.
Yep.
And then I'm going to spend a couple hours with the homies tonight, right?
That's awesome, man.
So-
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what you call making your day count, not wasting it,
Yeah.
and actually being productive.
Yeah,
That's
man.
awesome because right now we live in a world where a lot of times the TikToks,
Yeah.
the IGs, if not responsible enough, can control our day and
Facts.
not in a good light.
Facts.
So the fact that you're able to control that and actually be very productive in the process and also meet those various aspects, the business side of it, your personal side
Yep.
with your grandmother,
Yep.
and then your leisure side with the homies
Yep.
at the end.
Yep.
Just shows that you can really be balanced. in that.
Absolutely. And I will say this, there's, you know, to everything a season, right?
Yep.
I didn't have this level of balance, you know, year 3 of rec.
Okay.
Right? We're in year, 8 now? That's crazy. Wow.
Wow.
But year 3 in rec, it was no. Everything is work. I got to
Absolutely.
push this thing
Building.
forward. But now that we've built the systems, I've been able to kind of get my time back, right? So that's why you hire, right? To get
Right.
some time back, right? And things like that. But I will just say, you know, one of the things I would hope people take away from this is like, for me, I live through the calendar. Kicking it with the homies is on the calendar.
Right.
Lunch with Gma is on the calendar. Because
Right.
if they're not going to happen. And my calendar is my way of being like, this is the game plan for the day, and I'm going to play offense. Because if not, and you just, all right, I'm just going to check emails and this and that, now I'm on defense.
Yeah.
Right? I look at my email as my to-do list from other people.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's so true.
You feel me?
So
So it's
true.
like I like to really just be thoughtful and intentional about this is how I'm going to spend the day.
Do you implement? Because I've heard of these strategies in the past as far as the way people manage their calendars. Do you also include tasks within your calendar as well?
Absolutely. So those personal things I said that I had to do, that is my executive meeting. Let's say a to-do came up. Oh, here's how we're going to solve this problem. You got to get this thing done. Cool. I'm going to put it right on the calendar.
Gotcha. Okay.
And literally my calendar becomes my to-do list.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about Rec Philly.
Let's do it.
Let's talk about what it is, what's the mission, what do you intend on doing? Talk about your Rec Miami.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
Sure. So Rec, I think the simplest way to think about it is a gym membership, but for creative people.
Gotcha.
Right. And we like to use that because the model is so new that it's hard for people to really like grasp.
Right.
And it's so challenging for people to grasp because the history of how entertainment has worked is, hey, I'm talented and I need to go to some sort of institution to validate me and tell me that my stuff is worth something.
Right.
I.e. record label, film studio, right? All those sorts of things. But for us, it's like, nah, we're going to come here and say, yo, you could tap in. Our members can pay a yearly membership and then get access to our 14 private studios, from recording studios to podcast studios, photography studios, dance studios. We've got a retail store, a co-working space.
Wow.
We have a Live Nation venue back here. So when it comes to the resources, everything is here for you to tap into, right? And then secondly, education is really important to us. So all those things that I was learning at Fame House and helping, $1 million clients do, we're teaching these strategies for how do you actually build your business around your art and around your passion. So we're doing all sorts of educational workshops for that. And then the third value of Rec is the community. We have over 1,100 members who are all creatives of different kinds. And sometimes, like, the best thing about going to the gym is once I get to the gym and I look and I see Bull putting up 300 and I see the
Get
chick,
motivated.
Exactly.
Get motivated. Absolutely.
So there's this social accountability where it's like when you're around like-minded people, it's easier to stay on your path. It's easier to stay disciplined. So we wanted to create a space to do that because our mission is really just to empower creatives to do more of what we love. And what do we need to do that? We need resources. We need to understand the strategies to make money, and we need to do that in tandem with a network of positive people, right, and like-minded people.
I love that. I know I just started, well, technically didn't just start the Doscinco Project, but kind of relaunched it. But It's true, when you're on an island and all you have is just the YouTube videos and yourself, where's the motivation at? But when you have a community and you have people doing things that motivate you, especially when you start to see successes.
Right.
I know one of the things, so I love Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
I love Gilly and Wallow. Yep. $1 million worth of game.
And shout out Wallow. Wallow's a homie. He comes through every now and then, and he's here. You know what I mean?
I'm about to share something with you, right? Okay. And I said this with Saya, right? So I'm on IG. I follow Wallow. Wallow's like my biggest. He's just the biggest motivator for me,
Facts,
right,
bro?
He posted you.
Word.
He bought your book.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, who's this guy?
Yeah.
I start doing research. Right.
That. I love that.
I found out who you were. I'm like,
oh,
he's a big deal.
Thank you, brother.
And what really captivated me was you're from Philly.
Yeah, man.
You're from the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So when I seen the success behind that, I said, man, I got to connect with him.
Thank you.
And here we are today. Right?
Shout out Wallow.
All because Wallow posted you up. Actually, what I did first, before I even said, let me interview him, I said, I need to buy that book because I love books.
That's real.
You know what I'm saying? So I came back. So after work, because I work in Center City, after that, I walked my behind right over to Rec Philly.
That's fire.
To get it, got the autograph book and everything.
That's love.
And then I said, you know what? I said, I got to interview him, man. This book is so dope. Everything that was, man, listen, you are an inspiration, brother.
I appreciate
you are,
that,
and just to get the background on the way you grew up, a lot of people use their problems and their issues kind of like in handicap, just to make an excuse on why they can't attain what they want to attain, you know?
Sir.
And to see you actually do that with not having both your parents and being raised by a grandparent just shows that anybody could do anything at any time as long as you put your mind to it.
That is the absolute truth, bro. That is the absolute truth. And one, I appreciate you sharing that.
Absolutely.
And the other thing, too, is like, one, yes, and the fact that I am from Philadelphia and people know me and can see me, I've realized how important that representation is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think there's a young person who probably from somewhere close to where I'm from, parents in a similar situation, and they may count themselves out.
Yep.
But just even knowing I exist can really be a motivator too, right? So I really take that, pretty seriously. The second thing, though, is there's tons of artists, and I grew up, hearing this all the time.
Right.
There's so many artists in Philadelphia who are super talented, and they like, I'm hot, but I ain't got the resources. So now it's like, you just got to be more resourceful, because there's a whole hub dedicated to us as creators, and somebody built it who had you in mind and planted the flag, not under that L somewhere, but literally downtown, center city. You could get here from from the L, you know what I mean?
Yep.
From the Broad Street line. It's all
Absolutely.
right here. And for me, it was important to be able to do that. And I hope that people really take us up on that and tap in and understand that, you could take this as far as you want. Ain't nothing limiting you but your mindset.
Absolutely. So so you got Rec Philly.
Yep.
What are the other locations?
So right now, Rec Philly is the only open location.
Gotcha. Okay.
But we are about to open our very first expansion city, which is
Nice.
Rec Miami.
Okay.
And that's just super exciting.
Describe that.
It's a vibe.
Or well, if you can't, if some of that stuff is behind,
so
if you could be vague with it then.
yeah,
I
I'll
don't
tell
wanna-
you what I can tell you
Okay.
for now.
Gotcha.
Which is Miami is the next city. It's going to be a space that's even larger than this one that you're in.
Okay.
This one's about 10,000 square feet. Miami's going to be about 15,000 square feet.
Wow.
So that's a beautiful thing. The essence and the energy is going to be the same, but we're gonna tailor it a little bit to what Miami needs as a community. You know what I mean? They have a few kind of nuances that make their city, and we're excited to tap into that.
Right.
But that's just city number 2 of what will be, 50, God willing.
Wow, that's amazing.
My vision is for us to be able to have this network of spaces and communities where folks like you and I, who can work from anywhere, who are creating content, at some point when you build, this audience to your vision,
Yep.
you're going to want to go touch the people. The same way Wallow and Gilly travel city to city and do these live events.
Yep.
I want folks to be able to do that and know, there's a space waiting for me, right? There's a community of like-minded people waiting for me. The resources are there.
Nice.
So we can really tap into these hubs and support each other more than we need these institutions to support us.
I
You
love
feel
it.
me?
So having a membership with Rec Philly not only will be a membership with Rec Philly, but you can go to Miami.
Exactly
And you can go
right.
to those other cities once
Right.
you expand out.
Exactly right.
Come on, you're basically handing it to them.
Yeah, bro. It's just like, as creators, man, one of the things we've always struggled with is the infrastructure.
Right.
So for Rec, we see ourselves as being able to create that infrastructure that you can just plug into, get what you need, and grow.
That's
You know what I mean?
awesome. Do you bring people from the industry in to actually give these these educational?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's one of the things I'm most passionate about, all the education side of what we do. I think it's cool giving people access to fly equipment and all that stuff,
Right.
but it's the information for me. You feel me? So we do a series called Creator Talks.
Okay.
You can check those out on YouTube, but we're bringing folks from all across the industry to really just share their stories, share that insight. We'll grab folks like a couple of the guys from Working on Dying, which is a producer collective from Philly. You know what I mean? Who, in my opinion, just did the hottest record on Drake's last album. You know what I mean? Like, these guys did most of Uzi's album.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Eternal Take. They're doing Future records. Like, they're huge. They're from here. So we brought the manager and Ness and Facts Only, one of the producers, and they're just telling our community what that looked like, you know what I'm saying, to get from point A to point B, et cetera, because we need that kind of information.
Absolutely.
So we're bringing folks like that. We're bringing, folks from these labels down. We're bringing folks from, some of these streaming platforms down. So that way it's like, I'm here in Philly, and if I don't feel like the industry is here, all right, cool. Well, we're going to go out and bring the industry here.
Love it.
You
So
know
now
what
you
I'm
don't
saying?
have to no longer go to New York. You don't have to
Exactly.
go to California and those areas
Exactly.
where the industry usually lives.
Right. The ecosystem's here, and we're gonna bring those folks to come tap in.
Love it. Name some of the creators that have come out of the space. I mean, I know that you have Tierra Whack.
Sure.
Right? Yeah. She
Yeah.
had some of her, product here in your stores.
Yeah, Tierra Wax merch is still out here in the store. She's been one of the top sellers. You know what I mean? So proud of what Wack is doing. So shout out Wack. Shout out Johnny Montina too. Like, sometimes I feel like managers don't even get as much love as the artists do,
Right,
but like,
right.
I think he is just as important to that ecosystem as she is, respectfully.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Respectfully.
of course. Because sometimes you need someone behind the scenes to actually,
Most
get you to
times.
where you got to go.
Most times,
Yeah.
So shout out them. Much love to them. I'm really proud of some of our members that are behind the scenes as well, because like I also want to make sure people know like it's different avenues here to this industry than just being the talent on the stage.
Right.
There's 100 jobs that have to happen for Beyonce to be Beyonce. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like I love showing love to people like Ben Thomas, right? Engineer from Germantown, young guy, 24, maybe 25, just got his second Grammy. You feel me?
Wow.
As an audio engineer. Started with us, in the warehouse while we were still in North Philly. Couple opportunities.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So people like him, people like Guru Blue, a videographer, right? Again, was with us since the warehouse. Tory Lanez came through one day, ended up connecting them. 2 days later, he literally goes on a U.S. tour with Tory Lanez, right? Gets off that tour, ends up going on a world tour with A$AP Ferg, right? Gets off that tour, goes on a worldwide tour with Amine, right? Now came home, built his own podcast, is one of the most successful podcasts in the game, right?
Wow.
So like people like that, where literally it's like, I'm not taking credit for their success at all, but I know that there was just a couple cool opportunities, a couple cool connections that were all they needed to just run.
And sometimes you just have to show up and you have to connect. You
Bro.
can literally create the environment. You can build the house. But if nobody's in there,
Right.
how do you expect to make things happen?
And that's why we like to say it's like a gym, but for creatives.
Right.
Signing up for the gym don't get you in shape.
No.
It's showing up consistently, putting in the work. It's learning the routines and all that. And I truly believe it's like, if you put in the work, the success is inevitable.
I had a gym membership for an entire year and used it one time. You hear me? But this entire situation is just amazing, man. And the thing is, you hear about Rec Philly now, but it's something that needs more exposure.
Yes, sir. I think we're the best kept secret.
Absolutely, because you look at everything that's going on and how people are just propelling their careers. It's amazing, man. And it's due to the fact that you were able to help build that vision.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Thank you, brother. But look, man, I just want everyone listening to understand, like, there's a gold rush happening right now.
Yep.
In the creator economy. And if you understand some of these strategies, when we talk about direct to consumer, we talk about actually understanding what it means to build a powerful brand, understanding digital strategy, understanding what revenue streams can look like, how to protect your intellectual property, right? All the things in the book, really.
Of course.
If you understand these things, like, it is really possible to go and build you a business and make $50K this year.
Wow.
It's very, very possible.
So let's talk about your book, because I'm glad that was an excellent segue. That was on my list. Excellent segue. So that book,
Yes, sir.
You literally are giving the game step by step
Yes,
on
sir.
how to build this enterprise.
Yes, sir.
Please explain some of the stuff in the book.
So for me, I know there's a ton of people out here who are just like me, who are like, I have a passion. I really believe in it. I know if I can get this out to the world, it's going to be good for the world. But I just need to understand the actual strategies for how to build the business to make it possible.
Gotcha.
So that's really the book that I wrote. And the reason I wrote it is because while building Rec between the years of maybe, let's say, 2014 to 2018, I got to talk to hundreds of creators and be able to help them navigate the business side of their journey.
Okay.
Some people just starting out. Some people like, I'm actually 10 years in. I'm a Grammy-nominated person, but I still need help getting to the next level. And I realized that the strategies for how to do that, a lot of them were the same, right? Understanding, again, powerful branding, understanding like who you are and how that plays into your brand, understanding digital strategy and all these things. So instead of continually having the same convo over and over again, I started writing down the conversations I was having, right? As a way to scale my time.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, I just had this exact conversation. Man, I wish you could just pick up what I said and then we'll have a convo.
Right.
So that's what I started to do. And over time, I was like, there's really only 10 concepts that we need to understand to be able to build the business properly. So essentially, that now is what the book is. I think of it as a strategy guide. So it breaks down these 10 ideas, one after the other. And if you read the book and then do the exercise at the end of the chapter, it actually helps you build a structural business plan and a marketing plan.
Okay.
Which is what I think intimidates most of us when we think about building a business.
Wow.
It's like, I don't want to build a 40-page business plan. Nah, we take out all the BS and just say, this is the actual foundational information that if you follow, you will be able to build your business with.
That's amazing.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so I'm assuming that you kept a journal, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so you
I've
kept
got-
the journal. Do you still keep a journal as far as writing some things down?
Right now, I'm getting to a place where like I use voice memos and I have my notes app in my phone that I go
live
crazy
through
on.
notes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I have literally like a backpack of all my like notebooks for the last probably since I started Rec.
Oh, wow.
Which is beautiful. Yeah,
Okay.
so I still have those.
And so you just write all your ideas in there, conversations, everything, and then you just break them down into what you have, which is your book, right?
Yeah, and,
Awesome.
and the cool thing is like if I was to show you like my last notebook, maybe like from maybe 2.5 years ago, I have like the table of contents of the book written out,
That's
all
dope.
kind of how I want to see it.
Yep.
And it was really cool looking at that the other day, right next to the finished book, and being like, damn, really manifested
That's
that, you know?
crazy, man.
Yeah, I
Okay,
love
so
that.
you laid out your book. So describe what the process of actually putting out this book was like. You know, like I mean, did you block out certain hours in the time to just take that, transcribe it, or write it out? Like how was it?
So the creative process for the book was actually really interesting. Before writing the book, I never really thought of myself as an author or as a writer, and I feel like I've always had the gift of communication through speaking.
Yep.
So I was like, look, I'm gonna just start like this. I actually started by recording conversations with people.
Okay.
So it was like when I knew somebody was coming in, they'd be like, Will, can I pick your brain? And I was like, what do you want to talk about? They'd be like, oh, I'm having trouble with branding. I'd be like, all right, bet. So we sit down. I'd be like, cool, I'll do this convo. I'll have this conversation. I'll consult if you allow me to record it. And they was like, all right, cool. Boom. So I would just record it, and then I would go back and have somebody transcribe it for me.
I love it.
And then I cleaned it up.
Love
right?
it. Love it.
Because then it started to actually like flow. It's in my voice and things like that.
Right.
And I knew that would be a much more efficient process for me.
All right, so peep game, right? I love what you just said, and this just goes to show with the like-mindedness. A few years ago, I said, I want to build this podcast, right? I want to interview dope people, interesting, from business to celebrities to, individuals in the creative space like yourself. And now that I have the recorded content, I'm then, once I've gotten to a certain level, going to help and take that and formulate it into a book.
I think that's genius, bro.
And exactly what you just said, I've had that in my head.
I think it's genius. And I think that's a concept that works really well for a couple of reasons. One, you get to repurpose the content that already exists.
Right.
And two, you're going to have kind of contributions from a bunch of different people who now can also support in marketing the book.
Absolutely.
You feel me? So
Absolutely.
if I got a little chapter or even a mention, I'm gonna promote that, John.
Right.
So I think that's a great idea.
And even if you look at it, it's funny because you brought up Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill, what did he do? He interviewed all of the greatest minds of that particular time.
Literally.
Formulated that into specific contents. Boom.
Literally.
You technically have a Think and Grow Rich for creatives.
That's facts.
You want to look at it like that.
Wow. That's an interesting way to look at it. And I love
Think
that.
about it. You know, all those conversations that you had with people, you literally took the concepts of that and you created this book.
And also, I want to be clear, like, a lot of the concepts in the book, I'm not the originator of the concept.
I don't think anyone on this earth is the originator of anything nowadays. We borrow.
Yeah. So I want to be clear about that. But I do know that the folks that I'm willing to sit on YouTube and watch a 3-hour lecture from, I know my little cousin's not willing to do that.
Right.
You feel me? So, like, I'm in there watching Seth Godin and Malcolm Gladwell and Simon Sinek and all these great people and these great thinkers. But what I know that there's a young person out there who's ready for the information, but is only able to receive it from the package that looks like me.
Absolutely.
Right? So
and the way you talk and the way you act, and also they understand the mindset that you have.
Exactly.
Yep.
So for me, I kind of look at myself as a filter in so many ways where it's like, all right, cool. Like the way I thought about the book is I like to learn out loud.
Okay.
So if you go on my Instagram, like I have a series where I just kind of share gems and ideas. And to me, it's like, I'm not sharing like things that I think are like crazy difficult, but I'm sharing the things while I'm learning them or the things that I'm relearning. And I feel like a lot of the most valuable pieces of content are the ones where like people are just having the willingness to just learn out loud.
Gotcha.
And in real time. Because a lot of people, I also learn like people want to learn from people who know what they're talking about, of course. But sometimes if you're so far removed from like where your audience is, it's almost like it's not even accessible anymore.
Yeah.
That's like if you never played basketball ever,
Yep.
and then you try to get on the court with LeBron, there's so many things that he just does because he's been playing basketball for 35 years
Right.
that it's like, damn, that's too much for me to even understand. But if you found somebody in your neighborhood who's just nice and he just kind of was self-taught and picking it up, it's easier to run with him in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And then go to the next level.
And then take it to the next level.
So I think some people, like, if you could just learn out loud and be willing to be vulnerable on your journey, that's actually what you need to do to build your audience and to serve people.
Gotcha. Love it. Describe this, the latest event that you were a participant of, where you were a speaker, Black Enterprise Summit here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, that was fly. So Black Enterprise is legacy brand, right?
Yes,
when you think about, the magazines that we grew up on, Black Enterprise, Jet, and The Source and all that. So it was really an honor when they had approached me and said, hey, we'd love to have you speak at the summit. They do a conference bringing together, Black and brown entrepreneurs,
I think Master P was there as well, right?
Master P, James Lindsay, the founder of Rap Snacks, folks like that, which was super dope. 19 Keys was there, folks like David Shands. So to be, in that room amongst those folks who I believe are incredible leaders was just dope. And I got to do what I do,
Absolutely.
and share
represent
my insight.
for your city.
Absolutely. You feel me? Had to go in there and welcome them the right way, So that was an honor. And I also will share that I'm about to go down to Miami in a couple of weeks. They have a John called Black Equity Con. So I'm a speaker there. So I'm going to go down there and talk on a panel about raising money, fundraising to fund the vision, things like that.
What was the biggest takeaway from the Black Enterprise Summit? Biggest takeaway, something that you left and you were like, wow, that was different.
That's a good, for me personally?
Yeah, for you personally.
The thing I would share is it affirmed for me this idea of you're already the person. Just be.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
was really touched and taken back by the impact that was felt in the room. Like, I got off that stage and watching people just kind of swarm because they were touched by what I was saying. They wanted to have, get connected, have further conversations, and the range of people who approached me, right? Like, I had guys from JP Morgan Chase running up like, yo, we got to do this. But I also had like young founders or small business owners who were just like, yo, I've never even thought about building my business that way, right? And like, yo, you unlocked something for me. Now I understand social media, right? It just was beautiful to see that and have that reception. And, it was just kind of like, yo, keep doing what you're doing. And that was one of those things where, like, I didn't, prepare for that, in so many ways. It was just like I just was being me and answering honestly. And I think there's something powerful about remembering that, like, yo, you're already the person, right? I think a lot of times you spend time trying to, become the thing and do that. And it's like, really, you're not your doing. It's at a time where it's like, just be.
And a lot of times we count ourselves out with our thinking. We don't realize how much we have, how many assets we actually have. All we have to do is just put it out there and build upon it. But sometimes we're in our own heads and we don't want to, step out because we're uncomfortable and we're scared. Because we're afraid of that unknown. But if you look at it, anybody that's working a 9 to 5, there's unknowns with that. You can go right to your job the next day in the morning and there'd be a pink slip right at your at your desk.
Facts.
So there's unknowns everywhere.
You a fan of Rick Ross?
Absolutely.
There's a song.
Boss.
Yes, sir. There's a song that Rick Ross has, and on the intro, Puff does a skit in the beginning. He has a drop, and I'll paraphrase it, but what he says is, most people are not afraid to fail. They're afraid of embracing the unknown. They're afraid to start because they don't know when the shit is gonna stop, right? So it's like, I think a lot of people are afraid of failure, but really even deeper than that, I think a lot of people are afraid of success. And they're afraid of success because once you become, when success is at your doorstep, you have to, raise to that level of the occasion, right? Like, you gotta be your best. And I think it's really intimidating for people to be like, all right, I did that once and it was really cool, but now you got to maintain that. Right. And I think a lot of people are afraid of finding out what their potential is. Like, there's so many people I've come across that, would rather not try, because if you don't try, you can always lean on man, if I wanted to do that, I could.
Yeah, of course.
But the second you strap up the kicks and say, yo, I'm on the court now, now we can judge you by your stats.
Yep.
And I think a lot of us are actually really deeply afraid of being seen for giving our best and maybe falling short, or even worse, winning, and now it's like, oh, we know how good you are. Be that good every time. And people are afraid of that because it's like, damn, I don't got a break. Damn, I don't got to, you know what I'm saying?
I can't rely on any excuses anymore.
Right.
That's deep.
But there's such a deep power in being willing to say, here's what I made. This is who I am. This is me.
Wow.
Period.
Right.
But most of us are afraid of that.
That's dope, man. All right, let's talk about, first and foremost, you are dropping gems today. I will say this, man.
Thanks, man.
Community based.
Yes, sir.
You're one of the members, the co-founding members of the Big Cleanup.
Yes, sir.
You have an event coming, most likely when this particular podcast airs, the event would have already happened, but please.
But don't worry, it'll be another one.
Don't worry, there will be another one.
Yep.
Talk about the Big Cleanup at Alney High Charter School?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
So the Big Cleanup was really something that we brought together as a response to all the injustices that were happening in like 2020.
Right.
Specifically when, folks like George Floyd were murdered, and all the other people who were murdered by police after that. But there was a lot of uprisings in our neighborhoods kind of were disheveled, from people looting, doing whatever, right? Yep. And we were like, yo, we can't just wait for the city to put our neighborhoods back together, right? West Philly was looking bad, you know what I'm saying? So it was like, yo, what can we do to just show solidarity? So no matter what neighborhood you were from, we decided to use our voices and get a bunch of people to come out and literally just go start cleaning up a neighborhood.
That's awesome.
So like, what does it look like when a Chill Moody and a Tierra Whack come down your grandmom's block and start sweeping up her steps?
Yes.
Right? Just reminding us that for real, all we need is each other.
Right.
So we do that, and what it turned into is now the last Sunday of every month, we go to a different neighborhood around the city, bring out 100 or 200 people, and just clean up.
I love it.
So volunteer based. So if you want to pull up, if you like that energy, we are at Alney this upcoming Sunday.
Okay.
But after that, just check out the Big Cleanup Philly on Instagram, and we'll be posting up where we're gonna go month by month.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Listen, Will, you have been a pleasure to talk to. Let me tell you.
Thank you, brother.
You dropped a lot of game today. You also are doing a lot of great things in Philadelphia, and people will remember you for that.
Thank you, brother.
Let me tell you. Thank you so much for this interview, man.
Yeah,
this
I
is
appreciate
real
it.
dope. And for the record, I'm going to let you know this, and this is exclusive for everybody. I'm purchasing a membership for Rex Philly today.
Let's get
and
it.
I'm buying 5 books, okay?
Let's go.
And for the followers, I'm going to give away those 5 books, okay? But we're going to have some directions on how you're going to attain that. But we're going to make it happen today. Well, listen,
That's
again,
love, bro.
I
Thank
appreciate you. We got planes to catch. We ain't got time for the nonsense.
We out.